Good evening. I'd like to call to order the work session of the Planning Commission of the Town of Haymarket, Monday, August 20th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Shannon?
Here.
James? Terrell?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Cottle?
Here. All right, ma'am, you're up.
So good evening, welcome to our new commissioners. Tonight we're going to be taking a walking work session to look at the town park. I want us to look at the approved master plan I sent out in your packets to address 5 priority items that you guys want to work towards this fiscal year. We have a small budget to work within. I have a couple ideas myself, and ARB came up with a couple ideas back in the early springtime for trash cans, things like that. So we're going to be discussing that on the way. I would like for you guys to take special note to existing conditions on the way down, the streetscape, and things that in general would make the walkability of town better, more inviting, and then how are we going to activate the park space in the short term to encourage walkability and use. So obviously we can't do this whole site plan this fiscal year, but we can work towards it and get small low-hanging fruit done. So that's the goal tonight. And when you're ready, I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
We go.
Okay. Get my walking shoes.
All right, we just finished our walk of the town down to the park. So do I have a motion to adjourn the work session?
I make the motion that we adjourn the working session of the Planning Commission.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, we'll start the next one in about 7 minutes.
Forgot all the Robert's rules of
All right, good evening. I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Haymarket Planning Commission for Monday, August 20th. If we could have roll call, please.
Shannon?
Here.
James? Larry?
Here.
Terrell?
Here.
Cottle?
Here. All right, if we could all please stand, pledge allegiance to the flag, and then remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. All right. Well, the first order of business, if we could look over the minutes. I realize 2 of you gentlemen weren't here, but let's look over the minutes and we'll take each one separately. We'll look at the continuation meeting, then the regular meeting, excuse me, then the continuation meeting, and we'll just approve each one individually. All right, continuation meeting. Do I have a motion that we accept the minutes of the continuation meeting, June 18, 2018?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we accept the continuation meeting from June 18, 2018 for the Planning Commission.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the second one. Regular meeting, July 16th, 2018. All right, do I have a recommendation that we accept the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I will make the recommendation we accept the minutes for the July 16, 2018 regular meeting for the Planning Commission.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Moving on. Continuation meeting dated July 16, 2018. All right, do I have a motion to accept the continuation meeting minutes dated July 16, 2018?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we accept the continuation meeting from July 16, 2018.
All right, thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, citizens' time. If any citizen would like to speak to the Planning Commission, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and if you could keep your comments to 5 minutes, that would be great. All right, seeing none, we will close citizens' time. All right, ma'am, agenda items.
First up, we have site plan 2018-001 for, actually, I'm sorry, architectural review board liaison appointments. So we need to appoint one planning commission member to the architectural review board as the liaison.
Right.
It's the third Wednesday.
All right, well, Mr. Shan serves on the town council, and then he's a liaison here. Myself being the chair, I really think it should go to one of our new folks. Not to pass the buck, but, and I understand everybody's busy.
Yeah, I
Good one.
travel though for
Anish,
Air Force, so.
is it something you would
I
be
don't
willing to
mind.
do?
Would it be around the same time, 6 o'clock?
It says
7.
7 o'clock on the third Wednesday.
Should be fine.
Okay. We'll have Shelley follow up with you in an email, but if you want to make the motions to appoint.
Would you write your name
Yeah.
down here, make sure I...
And then we can vote, and
Yes.
I'm sure it'll be unanimous, but, and I appreciate you doing that.
I and then you.
Ayush. Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Ayush as the liaison, the Planning Commission liaison to the ARB for a period of,
It will follow his planning commission appointment.
okay, following his Planning Commission appointment, so.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Well, I appreciate it. Thank you doing that.
Thank you for stepping up.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, let's go to item number 2, 6675 Fayette Street, 3 single-family residential lots, site plan, final approval.
So you'll see on packet page 11, a memo directed to myself and business manager Jerry Shiro from our town engineer Katie McDaniel. She's reviewed the site plan that you guys all received in a large roll, also a smaller copy of the packet. And she has recommended the plan for approval based on all comments that Katie and myself had being addressed. In addition, you'll find on page 12 of the packet, my memo to the planning commission detailing the project as well as the recommendation for approval. So at this time, are there any questions regarding the project? We looked at this, I believe, last month, so you guys have had it for a bit, and we talked about it before, so I think we got most of our questions out of the way previously.
The only thing I had, since we have 2 new folks, can you just give a little update on the buffer requirements to existing homes? I think it'd be good for them.
So on page 2 of the site plan, you will see a request waiver for a landscaping buffer. So in our ordinance, we have certain requirements based on the zoning districts for buffers that are required. And this buffer is landscaping. This is not the setback, but this is rather just a buffer between different zoning districts. So it is located back here behind Town Hall. So it would be an R1 leading up to a B1. The buffer is typically a 25-foot transparent screening. However, we had the engineer of the project make the argument that right now in the B1, it is a empty lot here, and they rather would like to put in a privacy fence. This would provide a bit more buffer screening than just a 25-foot. Also, the 25-foot transparent would bleed in a lot to the yard, therefore making the yard less of a usable space for the families. So they approached the planning commission last month and requested a approval for a 10-foot rear buffer yard to include a privacy fence of 6 feet in height, board on board, and then in addition to that, 4 canopy trees to be planted in front of the privacy fence on the residence side. So at the architectural review board meeting last week, the ARB approved the fence material, so it will be a board on board, it will be 6 feet in height, and it will follow. It will follow the orange highlighted line along the back here, which is B1 and some residential, and then it will follow the small portion right here, which backs up to Copper Cricket. So that's kind of where we're at with the landscaping buffer.
All right, thank you. You guys have any questions?
It affects us more than anyone else, because we live down in Sherwood Forest. I've gone through the plans, and I think it's a good plan. I think it's going to be certainly add to our subdivision, even though they're not part of it. So I like it.
I'm just wondering, in the zoning, that's just a minimum requirement. You look at the matrix about what property abutting the other property, that's a minimum. So if you want to go above that, which would be more opaque, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, they have to, at a minimum, do the, where was it, the R1? Do the commercial, yeah, the semi-transparent screen, 30-foot, that's like the minimum. So you go above that, that's better.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure I understand that. It's not like that the town wants to have that, but you can always go above that.
Yes, you can always go above and beyond.
Right, okay,
Always.
all right.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me, yeah, I mean, from what I saw, they're addressing all the concerns that we had then.
One other item that did come up was the lighting on the site. So They will be providing lighting that is essentially the exact same as the Sherwood Forest. So they'll have the light lamp post right near the driveway.
All the trees are coming down, aren't they, along the Fayette, or not?
Yes.
Also, okay. And, okay.
And that's just curb and gutter there, correct? Or did I miss the,
Curb, gutter, and sidewalk.
okay, I must have missed that.
Next, just hold the push button and turn it on. Just give it a,
There you go. There.
hold it down. Okay.
Didn't you just change the batteries too?
We just.
The condition,
Sir, if you could give us your name,
Yes.
please.
sorry, Brad Gladfelder, I'm the engineer of record with Bowman Consulting. We designed and assigned those plans. The condition that you're referring to currently is an open ditch section of the road, EP. That's how it'll remain.
Sounded good though for a minute there.
It did sound good.
I didn't see it on the plans. I was hoping it was a
No.
mistake, but,
No.
okay.
That's
I mean,
what I was-
I'm sure he would accept donations.
All right,
I
any
don't
other
have any.
questions for
I
this
don't have any
gentleman?
further questions.
I know, no questions.
All right, thank you.
You want to make the motion? No, you don't need to.
I motion the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission approve site plan 2018-001 for 6675 Fayette Street.
I second.
All right, any discussion?
No.
All right, let's do a roll call vote on this one, please.
All right, Shannon,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
sorry, Corral,
Here.
Cottle.
Yes,
Sorry, yes. I don't know why I said here.
all right, we'll forgive you. All right, moving on to the next item, Harover Master Plan action items.
So on the last few pages of the packet, you will find my reports that I sent out to you guys. Okay, so back in December 2015, the Council and Planning Commission worked on, adopted, and approved the Harover Park Master Plan for our town park. So for our new members, I sent the master plan out to you guys in your packets for your review, and then we just did our walking work session. So in an effort to kind of recap what we just went over in our work session, I'm going to spend a minute going through that for the public. So basically, we walked up the sidewalk to the park. We noted deficiencies in the street infrastructure, the sidewalks, crosswalks, trees, etc. Along the way, we made note of some things that we wish to see in the near future to be fixed, added, or in general, better maintained. We also took a moment to walk the entire park site to make our planning commission aware of the entire site, how it sets today, plans for the future, and how our master plan addresses certain areas of the park. We spent some time talking about all the different projects that are part of our master plan. We specifically looked at the gazebos in the back two corners. We looked at the pavilion that would sit on the hilltop green area. We looked at the playground that would sit down in the front of the park. And we also discussed how the existing building will stay, other small features that we would like to see added, such as a fireplace, a grill, other small amenities for our town. And we also discussed briefly the budget we have, as well as what's already paid out of this budget, what we expect to pay in the future, and then what some of these projects would cost if we were to move forward with them in this fiscal year. So tonight I would like for all of us to work on outlining 5 action items that I can begin working on to kind of start addressing our park, activate the space, and work towards completing our master plan. The site work alone will not be done this fiscal year. We do not have that currently in our budget. This will be a couple of years out. However, there are smaller, low-hanging fruit items that we can work towards. I began to outline several of these in the report. At the bottom of page 36, you'll see 4. And on the top of 37, you'll have an additional 3. So one that I'm working on currently that I'll go ahead and address is the playground equipment. So Dr. Landry with QBE Foundation wanted to donate the playground that has been fenced off on the QBE property to the town of Haymarket. Unfortunately, with a lot of research put in last week, we were able to determine that we cannot accept the playground equipment based on the inspection reports that we received, a third-party assessment, as well as our insurance carrier's opinion on it. So we are going to move forward with looking at how can we come up with a plan, whether it be a phase 1 plan, or do we decide, what exactly are we going to decide to do with the playground? So we are going to assess how we can get new equipment in. We don't want to lose this great aspect of our town, having a playground, a place for the kids to gather. So we're going to move forward with looking at that. I will come back to you guys with cost. I can show you some of the things that I have looked at, but we are looking that it would be approximately a little more than half of the budget for the park. So roughly 30K-ish. Our treasurer, I believe, will probably come to one meeting one night and give us a better outline of everything, or at least provide me with a report on that. Other things that we talked about back in the fall with our previous planning commission was installing some bike racks. So while we're in our work session tonight, I mentioned having one at the park that would accommodate quite a few users. So 5 to 7 bikes, I think, would be kind of ideal. So I will, if that becomes an item you want to work on, I will work with the Architectural Review Board. They'll have the final say on the aesthetics of the bike rack. We also wanted to discuss looking at smaller single-use bike racks along the streetscape up and down Washington Street. The ARB has picked out trash cans and recycling bins. We wanted to go with a trash and recycling unit to kind of better address our HEAL community, a healthy, active lifestyle, some other words in there, but that was one of the reasons we wanted the combination. We're also going to get a single-use trash can to go elsewhere in the park. We at one point discussed a Virginia Tourism Love sign. So I don't know if you guys are all familiar with the love signs, but they're the large statue signs that bring in a good number of tourists. Everybody loves to come take a picture with them. We thought if we could come up with one that spoke true to our community and really represented us in a historic way, this would be a fun art project to add at the park. I've been researching a reimbursement application program so we can actually do a lot of the design work ourselves with the ARB. Planning Commission can help pick out a location at the park. We can kind of all work together on it, and then I can submit an application for reimbursement. And then we also have on the last page the park pavilion and or a small gazebo. I spoke to this briefly during our work session. We have a Life Scout who's interested in doing an Eagle Scout project, and I mentioned to him this could be a great place that he could try to do one with a small gazebo in the back left corner. The community board, so we kind of have a community board that has all the seals on it down at QBE. They are interested in moving it to the town property, so we would have to talk about taking this to the park, and maybe it goes in place of the coming soon park sign that I think we're a couple years out, so maybe we should go ahead and take that down. We can kind of discuss that further as part of the action items. But we may also look at getting more of a kiosk that we can put up some of our meeting agendas, our flyers, our events, or maybe even we have a space for outside community groups to come in and advertise. So that's kind of the ideas I have. Are there other ideas that you guys want to discuss? Other things that have come up? I know we have 2 new commissioners. Are there things you wish to see in town that you don't wish to see in the master plan, but you don't?
One of the things I really liked that we talked about with our walk, and I think is important, is the trash cans and the recycling bins. Wife and I go up there to our garden, and there's nowhere to put any trash or anything else. Fortunately, I haven't seen anyone throwing anything down, but we have Haymarket Day coming up, and we know what's going to happen then. I just, to me, with kind of the proposals, that's one of the things I'd like to see first, in my opinion.
The nice thing is on that, if we do go ahead and set that as a priority, the ARB's already approved, picked out something, so we can put that order in this week.
Do we know what an approximate cost on that is? Are you going to come back with a cost?
So the cost of the trash and recycling bin together, the one unit is $1,300,
Okay.
and the one single trash can is $500. The reason they cost so much is it's that composite material that holds up. It also includes the animal/rain covers on top of them, and then there's some engraving for them as well. So, and it also has the shipping costs. So it is kind of pricey, but long-term is something that's going to hold
I think you
up.
get your bang for your buck.
You know,
Here, let me just make one other comment that I'm glad we're talking about this now. And I know that's the intent now, is to set a timeline, because in that sign, I'll be the first one to say, I'd like to see that sign come down. Unless we have a more definite time period, we can say coming in 2020 or 2021 or whatever. But I know I've heard many comments about when are you going to get that park up there. But, you know, a phased timeline, I think, and you're right on target there, Emily, that we have got to get that. And then, based on our budget, then, I mean, we can give our wish list now, what we would like to see, but obviously, it's going to be budget-driven.
Absolutely.
So you're right on the mark as far as it's time. I know the 2 years I've been on between the Planning Commission and Town Council, we've been talking about, now it's time to move forward. And I agree with you, so.
Yep.
So
Go ahead.
do we want to go ahead and designate trash and recycling bins as?
That's just my opinion, guys,
number
just,
one
you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a low-hanging fruit, and we can see immediate,
this week?
yeah, you
Yeah,
can
this
see a change already, and it's probably needed anyway, because people do go back there, and you're going to want to control trash, because otherwise it brings the rodents and other animals, so that could be something good. I think, for me, the playground would be definitely at first. I think without a playground in town, we want to have a playground, and seeing where QBE's playground brought a lot of people together, and a lot of people in town were congregating there, meeting each other, and then once it shut down, you saw a lot of the people were going other places, you know, to find playgrounds. So I think that's a must, even though it's a pretty big price tag, but I think it's a big part of the park, and it would bring people there interested, and then they can start, and they can see the sign, you know, with discussing about future plans, the phasing, and if they have an opinion on it, they'll start coming to meetings about it, but it gets people to a centralized location in town. Next, I would consider the infrastructure for like the later phases. So I think we'd want to do that stuff early to be able to take care of some of that site prep, because even in the high part of the hill, you're going to want to level, worry about drainage considerations, also any underground. If you're going to bring power out to the gazebos, those type of things are expensive, but usually forgotten until last minute. So you're going to want to do that, I would say, earlier, so we have everything prepped, and then we can pave the parking lot, and then not come back after and go, oops, now we want to trench through our new parking lot, you know. So sometimes to think about. And then the pavilion and the gazebos, I mean, if that's going to be funded or done by the Eagle Scout, I mean, of course, let him go forth with that or the other plans. But just so we can say I think that should be another priority.
Right, I think the smaller gazebo there on the left that we kind of looked at beyond the garden, that one would be funded by the Eagle Scout and his project. Part of it would be raising the funds.
Right.
The second one that's a little bit larger, that one I'm still working, hopefully Dominion Energy, we can work out some donation, that kind of community service project there. So it would, I think, come down to just the pavilion would be funded by the town.
Right.
And let me add one thing, because I agree with Dick that the playground definitely is important and a priority. But as we talked up there, it needs to be fenced because of the location we're looking at. It needs to be fenced. And of course, the ARB would get involved with that, you know, whether it's black wrought iron or whatever the fence may be.
And I think
But-
we could even, looking at just the front page of the master plan here, I think we can even agree that long-term, it doesn't necessarily need to be fenced in. It can be something that the fence can come down. Oh, actually. You guys okay with turning lights off?
Sure.
Yes.
I think while we're talking about the playground, that tree that's there, that's going to be covering over, and I think we thought that it was going to be coming over the playground as well. I think that's something that we need to take a look at and make sure that it's not something that's going to,
Get an
fall on the
arborist to
kids.
really take a good
Right.
look at that, yeah.
The larger walnut.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you look here, you can kind of see that the fence would go around the playground in a circular area. But then long-term, we'll have a sidewalk in, and then we'll have those street trees that'll grow. So I think long-term, it's really gonna help have that barrier, but otherwise, for the short term, we can have a small fence right in here. And then with the walkway, you'll also get a good bit of kind of protection. I think it's another barrier that a child would have to cross over. Yes, it's still ground level, they're not stepping up, but it's still another surface there that I think would provide a little more protection. So, as you can see, they're doing like a circular shape, so we can kind of look into, based on our ground covers, are we gonna have more square, keep it circular, things like that. But I think the fence, for the time being, would mainly be up in this area, and maybe it is one of the, I don't know, battlefield style fences, or a very small paddock fence, kind of horse fence that sets you a comfortable height that you don't have people jumping over it, but also not a height that's so tall that it's kind of this eyesore and makes this wall effect as you drive or walk down Washington Street. Because we also want to keep in mind, this park is for everybody, and it's meant to be inclusive, and so we don't want to start barricading the whole front and making it exclusive.
Well, I'm thinking of safety.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'll agree with you if, on the bottom side toward Washington Street, if you have a couple benches there for parents to sit there and all.
So maybe, part of what we do is we bring a picnic table or something that's up
Yeah.
here down.
Even that,
this
just something
area.
that parents have a place to sit, if the parents are there with them, to kind of be guardians, if you will, as they should be.
Right. But I think a lot of those fences, if you just make the small, around just the playground, the circular one, you usually
we
find
also-
most of them have them. They're
We
pretty.
also have the lawn play area. That's also kind of a concern if you're going to talk.
Yeah, so like right now, there's not a specific pattern cut into it or a designated area to really make it a play area. So it would still be that passive use that we have right now.
I think
Not
when,
saying that right now it's okay not having a fence there, but
usually, if for playgrounds with, I guess we're going to talk about age grouping. So like the 2 to 3-year-olds, it's good to have the fence because they're going to be the ones getting out. So the ones that are older kids and will be in the child play area. You expect like the 9, 8-year-olds, so they know better than to run into the road. But it's usually the 2 or 3-year-olds you kind of want to keep behind fenced in the playground area. So I'm not sure what we're looking at. But if you're going to have like a smaller kid playground and like the larger kid portion of it or what, but.
so currently what I'm looking at, I'll show you guys what I thumbed through in the catalog, just so you get an idea of where I'm at. I picked out a unit that is 25 users, ages 5 to 12, and then I've also picked out something smaller for the younger children. You'll get a good idea of the costing here. So tentatively, this is the one I'm going for. 2 slides,
Okay.
couple climbing things, 25 users, 5 to 12.
Okay.
So then with the other younger children in mind, we wanted to look at doing this small swing set. So 2 swings for older children and then 1 for a little tot on the side here. And everybody's favorite, those little rocker things for the younger children. Like this, keeping with the historic, get a horse, fairgrounds, racing, you know, something fun that it kind of attracts users of all ages, but also with this one, the nice thing is this whole catalog, you can start with something.
It's add-on, yeah, you can keep adding.
Yeah, so for instance, like you could start with this and then you just keep adding pieces to it. Same manufacturer, it all goes together. You're not splicing 2 different pieces together like at other locations. So I think this is a really good approach for us because that's where we can get that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We start with something now to activate the playground park area, and then we can say in 2 years, here's our goal, here's our funding process. That also gives Roberto something to work towards in his, you know, budget planning, all of that. Can we afford it down the line for a phase 2, phase 3?
And that's key, and you did a good job on this, on page 22, the master plan implementation, because that's what we're going to hear in public hearings and stuff, is people going to say, are you piecemealing this? We've got to come up with a master plan, which is exactly what you're talking about doing. Come up with a master plan, a phased effort that our budget can support, and understanding it's not totally fluid, but it is somewhat, because so much of it's going to be budget driven.
Right. So if you look at page 22, right now, the master plan that they approved, we're already behind schedule. It was approved in 2015, and if we were to follow this, you know, the 1 to 3 year time frame, I think that's still a good 1 to 3 years out before we could even accomplish that. So I think these little items that we could work towards. And the other thing, the reason I picked out some of the ones I did is because, as Nick was mentioning, we want to watch for the site work and the infrastructure. But if you look up there, like the gazebo, yes, the page path is going to go up near it, but for the most part, not much is going to be affected up here when it comes to site work. Same with this gazebo on the other side.
That's up by the houses you're talking about.
Give me a second. Yeah, so this other one, you know, it's pretty secluded. Yes, the garage will have to come down. However, the garage sits, you know, a little up in this area. So it would take getting a survey probably done. You know, that would be really helpful in the near term, is to get a survey done, figure out what's there, existing infrastructure, things that need to go, exactly where it overlays with everything. But there are these low-hanging fruit items that we can go ahead and do. The playground, you are getting kind of close to some items, parking lot, things like that that would be installed. But the nice thing is this is the preferred bird's eye view. It's a general concept plan. It's not, we never got official site plans done. So we have a little room to work with, and that could then become an existing structure, but we don't want to do too many of those. We just want to get a few things done. Because as you see, like all the drainage, everything will be down in this area.
Is that a dry pond?
Yeah.
Going to be fenced?
I would have
If
to,
it's a dry pond, it doesn't need to be fenced.
I don't think
but-
there are plans to have it fenced. The other thing, looking at it, page 23 of the plan also gives the short range ideas, and you know, we're already looking to touch on quite a few of those, so, or we already have.
Emily, do these include installation costs?
No.
So this
I
is
got-
just equipment, okay?
I've got that all today. It's roughly 22, not
Mhm.
including the ground cover.
Okay, so not site prep either. That's just labor to put together, so including site prep
That's the equipment, the labor to put it together, and installation, and the shipping costs.
and shipping. Okay,
You would think they would throw shipping in, but they
of course not. You want to keep the price looking lower.
Yes, so it does not include any site prep and it does not include the ground cover. However, I'm working with the gentleman on getting a good estimate on how many square feet we actually need for it to do ground covers and stuff. If you look at one of the other plans in here, it's very, let me see if I can get to it. Give me just a second. So if you see here, here's the playground and soft recreation. They've lumped them together in this draw-out, but they have it as approximately 2,400 gross square feet. So when you actually calculate that out, pretty large area for a playground.
Yeah.
So I'm getting him to give me an estimate. I said ballpark, I picked out the one with the yellow slides, a swing set, and the 2 rockers. Approximately how many square feet do I need to make sure the whole thing has enough movability, safety zones, all that stuff. So he's gonna get back with me tomorrow and give me that estimate. Then I'll know better how much the rubber, if we were to go with rubber, how much that would be, the wood, fiber, film. Maintenance, he said on wood fiber would be about $1,000 a year, so that's something that once we do this priority list, if we do implement a playground, I want us to work on a maintenance plan for it, so that we're not leaving the next group and the next, down the line 10 years, they're not without it, they know what to expect.
Maintenance and upkeep, we have to figure up front.
Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes the tires can seem like the chewed-up tires seem, it costs more on the upfront, but the maintenance seems to be lower. But then you got to worry about the toxicity. I mean, the
That's-
tires
yeah,
and
there was
kids
a
are like,
There was a study on that, because they're doing that study on high school football fields right now on
Yeah.
synthetic turf. And I don't know what the outcome of that is, but that was a
concern.
a real
And that's
concern.
high school age. I mean, you're talking 2 to 3-year-olds are going to be
Yeah.
putting things in their mouth.
Yeah.
And it's tires, if you think about eating a tire or being exposed to
Yeah.
toxic, there's a lot of petroleum-based things.
So these are our ideas to work within from this company. So I'm getting prices on the wood fiber and then the rainbow rubber.
Rainbow rubber, yeah.
So the rubber is the one that you pour on top of a stone.
Right.
While we're discussing it, I told you guys that I talked to them about doing the pavilion. So this is very similar to that overlay.
Yeah.
If you look at the first page.
That looks like the one out at,
Long Park.
on Antioch.
Oh, the more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Camp Snyder.
yeah,
there.
that's nice.
So what he was saying is the more footings you have, the higher the price, and it goes up, exponentially
Sure.
from there. So I asked him also to give me an idea approximately, how many people do we want to fit in there, and then turn that into square footage, kind of go from there. But I'm kind of thinking 100.
I'm going to go out and look at the ones I was just talking about, just kind of get a feel of that. I know what they look like at Bull Run Regional Park,
The
because
other
we have a
one-
lot of events out there, but,
This was the other one if we wanted to go round, but
Yeah.
that's not in keeping with the Lewis home
Yeah.
architecture, which is very.
I like the other one that you were showing personally.
So of course ARB will get involved, but this is kind of where I was headed with this one.
Okay.
So kind of lay all of our options out there and then see what we can do financially.
As you look at this list, we have approximately $68,000 to work with, correct?
Correct. However, I would like us to err on the lower side of that, let's call it 60.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, here's the order I think we should do it, based upon what we've heard lately from the towns folks. I would recommend we order the trash can and recycling bins this week, get that in. I would recommend our second item is a crosswalk to that park so people can actually get to it, because I think that would be the next order. And let Mr. Shannon use his expertise to kind of help see what a crosswalk would cost. I think number 3 should be bicycle racks, because we've been talking about bike racks now for the better part of 2 years. And then I think number 4, we should try to go for the playground. So you have the trash cans, you have the crosswalk to get there, you have the bikes to get there, and then you put the playground. And I think that probably you should contact the insurance company, tell them how many feet it is off the road, because they're probably going to dictate whether you need a fence or not. And regardless of, you know, the architecture, whatever, I mean, obviously we want to keep it in taste of the town, but the kids' safety to me comes before architecture. So, and 2 to 5-year-olds can disappear in a heartbeat. They move a lot faster than most people think. And you get some parents talking on a park bench, even if the park bench is between the playground and the road. Next thing you look up and little Susie or Johnny's in the middle of Washington Street. So, trash can, my vote would be trash can recycling, crosswalk, bike racks. And then if we, let's say we had 60,000 and the playground, you budgeted 30, that still gives you, or us, $30,000. I would certainly think bike racks, crosswalk, and cans. And then we could go for number 5 down the road. That'd be my recommendation, because there are some things we have done. I think sometimes folks forget what has been accomplished. Moving that one Lewis home was going to be a huge expense. As I recall, around 60 to 70 grand to move it. We were able to move it before the home's on blight at basically next to nothing and preserve it. There has been landscaping there by the Villages of Haymarket, so a lot has been done, but obviously we need to show progress. And I agree with Mr. Shannon over there, we take that sign down. I think if people see a playground, crosswalk, trash can, I think most people are going to say, hey, they're actually doing something.
If it's amenable, can I add number 5 gazebo, and then hopefully work with our Eagle Scout to see if he could do the smaller one in the back corner as a project?
I guess my question is, I know Eagle Scouts are very talented, but is that something an Eagle Scout could do? I mean, those are not the easiest things to build. It's not like it's a square or rectangular configuration. There's a lot of cuts in a gazebo.
Could get expensive too,
They get real
because of the
expensive.
flooring and everything, and it has to go before the ARB.
And it could determine, you know, he could do a kit.
Yeah, we've done kits before
Yeah.
in the Air Force for like our smoke huts.
Yep.
I mean, our guys, they want us, the smokers, like, go build your smoke hut, and they just bought a kit and they went and built it. So,
Just as long as it's done right for the folks that are going to be looking at that.
Right. So I'll put it on as a maybe. I'll work with the ARB.
Okay.
If they would be amenable to something like that, where it is a nicer kit, it has the right kind of material, then we can also explore options of, can he also do a couple plantings behind it to have some landscaping, additional buffer between them and the gazebo, the homes there on that road.
And with the commission's permission, I would like to set some deadlines to get this done.
Yes, please.
That way, this is not, you know, we talk about it, next month we talk about it. I mean, I would like to see all this accomplished by the end of this calendar year,
Okay.
or sooner,
Agree.
yeah.
if that's all right with you.
I think really the
think we
playground is probably the hardest part
Yeah.
on that,
Let
but
me-
everything else should be.
I'm gonna have a whole detailed report to present at our council meeting on September 4th. So this is kind of to give you guys an idea and get your blessing to kind of go forward and then give the actual approvals from council. So hopefully with that, it'll be quick. ARB, I'll have them discuss the bike racks as soon as next month's meeting. We just had August, so a little late for that one. But trash recycling, that can be done this week, get those ordered. The crosswalk, I will work with,
Yeah, I want to find out what the striping is going to cost. You also have to do curb work and stuff. I mean, it's not just a easy turnkey operation.
right?
But
So
let me check on that.
I will definitely work on all those. I can provide email updates, or I can provide our monthly updates at the meeting.
Well, the crosswalk too, we need to figure out where its permanent positioning would be based upon the proposed entrance, which is in front of Haymarket Station, because last thing we want to do is incur costs, and then we got to build this thing out, well, it's in the wrong spot, so we need to make sure. I really think that's, not to interrupt, I really think we need a crosswalk on this end of
Agree.
town. It's long overdue.
I agree.
And it would line right up with Coach Way, so I'll work on that with Katie and Jerry as well.
Let me, I just want to go back. I am, and maybe it's just the grandfather in me and having my grandkids here a lot. I still believe a fence around the playground. I think I'd like to see a permanent fence, and I'll tell you why. Not only for the safety of the kids, but also, and certainly, hopefully, nobody would do it, but there's, and I'm one of them. I have an animal. I would hate to see a dog off his leash running through there and going into and doing their business inside of that. I just think a fence would preclude that. I mean, you have the gates. There's a, I don't know if I pronounce it right, La Paradilla or whatever it is, La Pardiata or something, the Mexican food restaurant at the corner of 29 and 15. There's all the townhouses there. They have a playground there, and it's got the little wrought iron fence. They're aluminum fences, but in it, it's got just, you know, the gate you pull up and walk in and everything. I don't. That's just my opinion. I would like to see a permanent fence around that. Again, it's more than anything for the safety aspect of it. That's just my opinion, though.
No, I agree with that. I think that little bit of investment could be, you know, a life, honestly. And especially for putting it that close to the road, and insurance is probably going to have something to say about it. We talked, you know, how close you are to a road with the playground. There's probably some rules on that too.
It's going to be a while before those trees would mature in that barrier, but even then, again, that's just, you
Better
know.
safe than sorry kind of deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
And-
looks like, sorry to interrupt you, it looks like here their permanent idea was to put shrubbery in. See the darker green that goes all the way around?
yeah, and but it doesn't cover the entire playground.
Right, so it
And
doesn't cover.
so it'll be interesting to get the ARB, the other commissioners and the, you know, my fellow commissioners and everything, councilmen rather, and council ladies to get their opinion on that. But I'm just kind of set on a fence around that playground.
And any shrubs that we add to is going to add to the maintenance. You got to consider that. Anything that we add there is going to have to be trimmed, cut. That will increase our yearly costs as well. And the fence like that would just be, you know, inspected every year, and maybe 5-10 years you might have to replace some things, but
And like the one I mentioned, has two entrances on both sides, so that parents don't have to walk all the way around or whatever. But just food for thought there. So.
Well, can we, and I agree totally with the fence. Can we set a priority if everyone agrees, trash can, recycling bins, number 1, look at crosswalk 2, bike racks 3, and then playground?
I would agree with that.
sure.
And then we can look at the gazebo to see what the costs are. And when I say finished by the end of the year, I mean, obviously, the crosswalk and the playground's gonna be a lot more planning, putting a bike rack up and the cans. I mean, that's something that happened one afternoon.
One other thing we might want to consider with the crosswalk is just a crosswalk, or you can go to like the pushing the lights, you know, and trying to get an actual pedestrian crosswalk there, all the way up to like speed tables. So how far do you want to go with it? Because we had a traffic study lately, and along with that, what do we how far are we willing to go with
You know,
it?
I don't know. What I was seeing was just a crosswalk, same as we have right out here. They got the crosswalk down by, is that Harris Teeter? Where you push and all that. I can tell you, those are extremely expensive.
They
They're
are.
good, they're safe, they're good. But you also have a higher speed limit there, a little bit, I don't know, traffic flow may be about the same, I don't know.
I would think if it was painted, you had the signs like school zone, crosswalk types, I mean, obviously it's
Yeah.
mandated, but something dedicated, because right now we have nothing.
Right, and I think it's, people have been used to seeing signs. That's why you notice some signs say like 17 miles per hour, because it's an odd number, and that's why they do that, to be like, oh, that's 17, so people pay attention to it. But like 25, 30 miles per hour, people just ignore that. Same with like school signs, we come across that issue too. So I think my concern is, I've actually walked down here and I try to cross the road, and I'll stand there with me and my 4 kids, and we're standing there almost in the road, and people just keep driving by, even with like the pedestrian state law sign sitting in the middle of the road. So I'm just thinking a different traffic pattern, and with a significant amount of people trying to cross the road, there's going to have to be something done. Or we have our police department might want to sit there actively for a while and be an active defense versus a passive defense using,
But they do a good job. I will
Lights.
tell you that small sign out there in the middle is not a state sign. That's a town sign.
Town sign.
VDOT does not provide those.
Sure.
But I too stood there yesterday, my wife and I and 2 of our grandchildren, for 5 minutes, and some kind people finally stopped to let us by.
Right.
But
So I think this is something we want to consider about how we're going to manage it, because that'll be a different traffic pattern and significant crossing of people, where some people, are just trying to get through town, and they're kind of,
right now they cross wherever they want to. But
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
still may. But at least we could hopefully provide a crosswalk.
Designated area.
to,
right,
you know,
designated safe.
So, and because that's been an issue for my couple of years doing this, so,
Yeah.
good point.
All right, so do you need action items from us today, or just a directive to bring us the final numbers next time with some more information?
That works for me.
If we could have the cost, do the research on these 4 items, and then once we see what the cost is on these, because crosswalk might be a lot more than we think. And I guess my only last question, do we really need to take a bike rack to the ARB?
Unfortunately, yes. We picked one out, I do recall, I think my very first meeting here.
We did, we picked one out about a year and a half ago.
Yes, and the ARB did request the month after that it comes to them for architectural review.
Sure.
We were not pleased with the one that I picked out, so, that was something like the
Okay,
corner. So our previous town manager wanted that one, they asked from now on to have that come through them.
Sure.
okay.
But we have one of those picked out already for the bike racks, or only for the trash cans?
Only for the trash cans. So the trash cans we can go ahead and order. And the trash cans will look like this, but it'll match the color of the picnic table, so it'll be a lighter color, this style with covers. As for the bike racks, I've talked about it with them before. I have a couple ideas, and I will present them, like 3 ideas, and ask them.
All right, I think we've thoroughly discussed this unless there's anything else.
I'm good.
All right, let's move on to old business. Crossroads Village Center update, please.
So, I'm gonna take just a moment for our new commissioners. We have a project in town, the Crossroads Village Center. This is on the fairgrounds property, as it's called here in town. It's a 20-acre parcel that sits behind Chick-fil-A, goes all the way up to 66, over to 15, and then it backs up to Sherwood Forest. So they're proposing to put 79 townhomes in. That was a rezoning application for approximately 10 acres. That was approved at our last town council meeting for the townhomes. They also put in 6 special use permits, and our planning commission recommended approval for all 6. However, at the last council meeting, the auto repair service facility was denied. The bank with a drive-through was approved. The hotel with 75 feet in height, not to exceed 75 feet in height, that is, that was approved. If it was gonna be an assisted living home facility, they asked that it not be more than 50 feet, so that condition was placed. And the 3 drive-throughs were deferred until the September meeting. So at this moment, I have not heard anything back from the developer. They are discussing with their attorney some items, what they want to do, if anything, when it comes to proposing any changes to the SUPs or any conditions to place on them. So September 4th, we will hear about it again at our town council meeting, and we'll kind of go from there. So
Okay.
that is the only update I had on that project for this time.
All right, any questions for her on that? Pretty straightforward.
None.
All right, let's go to, I'm sorry,
Nope, go ahead.
let's go to the town planner update, please.
So I took the opportunity during our work session to kind of brief everybody on some of the parcels here in town, what's happening, what's going on, the history of them. So as you guys kind of are new commissioners, if you think of new questions, if you think of something you want to know more about, please let me know. I'm happy to kind of give you that information. You can call, email, anytime, works for me. That's about all I have. As for new projects, I'm still waiting on official submissions. I've had a couple pre-application meetings for some of the lighted properties here in town with potential developers, so kind of expect those to come probably by winter time, official applications.
All right, town council update, sir.
What she said.
Okay.
She gave a good description of what went on. We had a public hearing. This place was packed with citizens voicing their concerns over Crossroads project. I was real impressed with the number of people that were here, whether they're for or against. I was impressed and appreciate them coming out. It's nice to be heard. Otherwise, we got through, I think, at 1:30 in the morning. But as Emily discussed on the 6 SUPs and all, well, I'm anxious to hear back from the 3 that we deferred for the fast food restaurants with drive-throughs. Those were the 3 that were deferred. So I'm anxious to hear back from that. Other than that, that's all.
All right, ARB update. Mr. Correll will be giving it to us. Did I pronounce that right? Yep. Next, after he attends his first one. Is there anything you know of from the ARB?
Give me a second. We're working on veteran banners to put up for Veterans Day. So any active, retired, right? Any military. If you want to submit a picture, fill out an application, you'll have a banner. It'll have your picture front and back, and it'll be on our light poles for the holidays.
What's the price of those?
Around $75.
How soon are you accepting the applications?
I'm having a meeting with the Eagle Scout that's doing the project on Friday, and I'll probably have something by next.
I will drop my $75 or whatever in a heartbeat. Thank you. That's a great idea. We have a lot. Well, I'm being a veteran myself and everything. I have so much appreciation for them, and anything we can do to showcase our veterans as well as our police department. I think that's a great idea. So,
Have them up during Veterans
uh-huh.
that day, and then the week before and after.
I applaud y'all for doing that. That's
Memorial Day as well.
excellent.
So we're very excited. It'll be something fun to put up this year. So we had that for architectural review. We had a couple projects in town with just kind of aesthetics outside, so patio lighting. We're getting charging stations, Tesla's putting charging stations in at Sheets, so that's kind of something really exciting. I think this will be the furthest out location they have beyond like the Fairfax area, so hopefully it'll be something people will come to, go to Sheets, bring a little more business in town. That'll be in that, if you turn into Sheets, left into Sheets off Washington, going out of town, they'll be in the first row there on that side. And for now, that's about it.
You may or may not be able to answer this. I don't know if it's something we can check. Why is it, I wonder, at Sheets, they weren't even open 2 weeks and they had 3 pumps down? They continuously have pumps down, constantly. The other day, I think it was 4 or 5 of them that were down. Do we have any idea what their issues are? And yeah, I mean, they're constantly down.
I don't know much about their inspections and all, but I would assume it has something to do with the inspector who comes out.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even
Their level.
2 weeks and they had 2 pumps down before it was 2 weeks old. So I'm just kind of curious. I get those questions because it's obviously a big meeting place for motorcyclists, of which I'm one. So that question comes up a lot is, why you got pumps all that's brand new? So,
A
okay.
lot of the time, they tend to have the chips, the card readers. So a lot of the time, they'll have, a lot of people will tamper with those, causing them to steal credit card information. So a lot of times they have to do checks like that. They have random checks.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
these are the-
sometimes the chips are just down.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
the-
kind of technical
These are
issues.
just the pumps.
Yeah.
It's my understanding, but it could be, so, okay. Thank
Because
you.
it's all metered, so, yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing back there, Swirlies has purchased Pickle Bops, so we're gonna have a new business in town. They're gonna stay at that location, they're gonna change some stuff on the outside, but it's one, I don't know if anybody's been to Swirlies in
Yes.
Roseville, Bristow area. So that'll be a new business to town.
That will
was
definitely
official.
add traffic.
Yeah.
So that was official on Friday, so look out for them and maybe stop by, say hello. Other than that, that's all for ARB.
And how soon did you say they're doing that?
Swirlies,
Yep.
effective last Friday.
Ah,
Yep.
Have they changed the name yet?
They have not changed the name. They're gonna operate under Pickle Bob's for the next 2 weeks, and then they're going to transition everything over to Swirlies. They're gonna come to ARB for all of their other signage, things like that.
Just mention to them the stormwater management fence is not
Yes,
for,
that was the first thing I told them.
it's
I
not
said,
for advertising
do
there.
not put a banner on that fence, because
There's a couple businesses that have them there that need to move them. I haven't been getting any calls
Okay,
on it, but if I do, I would talk to the owners. If they don't move it, then they're gonna get trashed.
okay,
So, I don't wanna do that.
right.
So,
all right. Productive meeting. Appreciate you leading us over to the town park. Any other comments before we seek adjournment?
No,
I
sir.
just wanna thank you guys for stepping up again. This is important business. Got a lot of things going on in this town over the next X amount of years. And stepping up, willing to take this on, because it's not an easy job. But it's worthwhile. Thank y'all for stepping up.
Thank you very much. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I would make the motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.